the Cloverfield universe. In this video, I'm going to break down each movie and the timeline, and I'm also going to share how I feel about the whole thing in general. Spoiler alert, there are definitely spoilers ahead. Now, the whole universe is kind of confusing and it's all over the place, and I think that's the intent of the whole thing. So let's start from square one and look at the first Cloverfield. Now I know you see Cloverfield Overlord, but I'll cover that later on in the video. In Cloverfield 1, or Cloverfield, the movie, it's a found footage video which was very fun at the time if you've seen Blair Witch and movies like that. And it takes place in Manhattan where a big Godzilla-like creature attacks the city. Now it's centered around this guy, I think his name's Rob, and he just loves this girl way too much that he has to go back and save her because he believes she's in trouble. In turn, all of his closest friends and a girl he kind of knows dies in the whole situation. And in the end, he ends up blowing up with the girl that he loves because the government chooses to bomb the creature at Central Park because they had no other way to destroy it. Fun ending, huh? Fun movie. Yeah, that's a good ending. Meanwhile, what's really cool about it is that it's found footage, but he recorded over the tape previously on a date with her, sharing clues as to how the events unfolded on top of how it was unfolding presently within the timeline of the video being recorded. Again, confusing. The timeline is always messed up in a Cloverfield movie. You're gonna learn that later on in the future. Now let's move on to the next movie, 10 Cloverfield Lane. This came out in 2016. In this one, a girl's just driving along and then she gets hit by a truck and she gets knocked out, only to wake up in a shelter with two dudes trying to convince her that it's really chaos outside of the shelter. Then she finds out that the main alpha character is the one really in charge, while the other guy just wanted to actually find shelter because he also believes that it's chaos out there. So the whole movie is about her debating whether or not to believe them that it's really apocalyptic up top. In the end, she escapes only to discover that, yeah, they were right. It's apocalyptic. There's gas killing people up top. The world has gone to But honestly, it's much better than staying underground with some creepy dude that's probably gonna get more creepy as time progresses. The last bit of it, she's driving into a city to either help people or to find help. Fun ending. Now the most recent installment to the Cloverfield saga, the Cloverfield Paradox. Before it was released, people thought it was going to be called Cloverfield God Particle or Cloverfield Station because it takes place in a space station. And then in one quick Super Bowl commercial sweep, they're like, whoa, Cloverfield, nice, I wonder when it comes. Wait, it's out already on Netflix. Cool advertising. In fact, some people after watching the Justin Timberlake halftime show probably just went to watch Cloverfield. I know I did. By the way, I did a video on the Justin Timberlake halftime show, but the NFL took it down, and that kind of sucks. So, in the Cloverfield Paradox, the world is running out of energy, which builds a lot of tension between all of the nations who share the energy, so they decide to send a team to space to shoot a particle accelerator to create an abundance of energy. Luckily, the team that they've chosen is a diverse group of basically one member of each of the major nations. So there can't be any hostilities up there in space, especially for a 2-year mission. I'm being sarcastic. They go out there and they shoot that particle accelerator a bunch of times until one time it actually went boom, and then they're in multiple dimensions that collide. Whoa, I went there. Now this opens up room for other writers to create any kind of story that they want to. And it also kind of explains the timeline a little bit now between all of the other Cloverfield movies too. So instead of looking at the timeline of the Cloverfield movies like this, it ended up more like this. So even though they did what they did at that time period, it opened up the dimension gate for all the time periods of the Cloverfield movie. So just like in the trailer during the Super Bowl commercial where it shows that explosion that happens at the same time, it's not necessarily the same time, but most definitely the same event. And that's kind of confusing if you don't have an open mind. So anyways, they shoot that particle, they realize they're in all these multiple dimensions, that they're kind of half and half between dimensions because the dimensions are trying to fix each other to create order again. After all the chaos, they shoot it again and they end up back in their dimension only to find Earth ravaged by monsters, which is a common ending in Cloverfield movies, let me tell you. That kind of explains why the monsters are appearing everywhere in all these movies. Now let's go back and let's talk about Cloverfield Overlord. Now this one hasn't been released yet as of the release of this video, but there are some things that have been leaked that people found out about. First of all, it takes place in World War II. The protagonists of the film end up landing behind the enemy line, only to find Nazis with super alien-like powers. At least that's the gist of it. That's as far as I understand. It's gonna be exciting nonetheless. Now, my take on all of these Cloverfield movies is it's entertainment, correct? And right now we live in an era where we want a multiverse of some sort. Look at the Marvel and DC universe. First things first, when you're watching a Cloverfield movie, please keep an open mind. And instead of trying to find the links between the movies, look at the movie itself and its story. Majority of these movies were developed from other scripts that were built to adapt to the Cloverfield universe. And I think this is incredibly smart because now we're finally being able to expand and look for new stories and scripts that are leading away from this whole nostalgia era. So don't look at these as sequels, just look at it as another story. Just like the previous 3 movies, they're their own individual story. And you can pay attention to character development and how they react to the situation. And in turn, that's what's exciting. And that's what's new and fresh, is the fact that it's a story that we haven't heard of before. So we're going into it completely blank. Look at these movies for what they have to offer. Subscribe if you mean it, like only if you mean it. My name is Jesse Chris Bato, and I will see you at the next review of a Cloverfield movie because I love the series. I hope they come out with more. Yeah. If you guys want to talk about it, be sure to comment me or message me. All my social media is everywhere pretty much. But if you want to see all of it in one central hub, go to jessechris.com. Peace.